Hello, I am Michaela Brennan, teaching a poetry lesson at a 4th grade level. Poetry is used to tell a story, express feeling, or capture a moment with its words. It can please the ear with rhyme and musical rhythm using word sounds. It can delight the eye with imagery the words create, and the images created in the lines and stanzas can make you see, smell, taste, and feel what the poem is creating. The following vocabulary words are used to describe poetry. The beats are the stressed syllables in the line of poetry. Imagery is word pictures created through the use of figurative language or vivid descriptions. Lines are the rows of words in the poem, and repetition is the repeating pattern of words or sounds within the poem. Rhyme is an agreement in the final sounds of the words. Rhythm is a regular pattern of beats. Sense words are the words that appeal to the senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, or touch. And stanzas are the groups of lines that make up the divisions of a poem. This poem will help to explain the vocabulary. The Seed by Aileen Fisher. How does it know, this little seed, if it is to grow to a flower or a weed? If it is to be a vine or shoot, or grow to a tree with a long deep root? A seed is so small, where do you suppose it stores up all of the things it knows? Here, the vocabulary is applied to the poem we just read. Some imagery used is when the poem discusses growing a tree to a vine or a big tree with a deep root. The lines are the rows of words within the poem. Some rhyming words are the ones at the end in each stanza, which is the group of words explained by the white arrows. Here are some vocabulary that apply to poems in general. You can copy down the answers to the blank spaces. Here are the answers to the sentences. A poem may have short or long lines arranged in groups called stanzas. To help us see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, poets use sense words. Poets also use imagery to help us form pictures in our minds. We should read poems aloud to hear the rhythm that comes from the beats of the syllables. We can also listen for the repetition of sounds, words, and lines. Similar ending sounds are heard in words that rhyme. Here's another poem with some questions that also follow up with it. The poem is called The Hungry Toaster. I slip a slice of soft white bread into my toaster's jaws. It grabs the bread and pulls it down with greedy metal paws. I think my toaster would prefer another kind of snack because a minute later it throws my bread right back. Here's some questions about this poem. The poem has 8 blanks. They are arranged in 2 blanks. As you say the first line, tap out 4 strong blank. The whole poem has a bouncy, playful blank. The words jaws and paws, and the words snack and back blank. Listen for the blank of the beginning sounds in slip and slice. The comparison of a toaster to a hungry animal is blank. The poet also uses blank like soft and white. Here are the answers. Here's the word bank for the answers to the questions. Please write down the correct word to fit into the sentences. Here are the answers to the questions. The poem has 8 lines. They are arranged in 2 stanzas. As you say the first line, tap out 4 strong beats. The whole poem has a bouncy, playful rhythm. The words jaws and paws and the words snack and back rhyme. Listen for the repetition of the beginning sounds in slip and slice. The comparison of a toaster to a hungry animal is imagery, and the poet also uses sense words like soft and white. There are more than one type of poem. 4 common types of poems are imagery, which imagery are images created by words. Personification is giving objects human traits and qualities. Comparison is a connection between the 2 objects. And wordplay is humorous poems. These poems are often very funny. Here are some examples of the different types of poems. An imagery poem this one is by Lewis Carroll. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright, and this was odd because it was the middle of the night. This is an imagery poem because the words try and create an image in your mind about the sun shining on the sea, and it tries to create a picture of the sunlight on the sea, but it was in the middle of the night. An example of a personification poem is Dinner Time Chorus by Sharon Hendricks. The teapot sang as the water boiled, the ice cubes cackled in their glass, the teacups shattered to one another. While the chairs were passing gas, the gravy gurgled merrily as the oil danced in a band. Oh, my dinner time chorus, what a lovely, lovely clan. This is a personification poem because it gives objects like the teapot and ice cubes and teacups human traits and qualities like singing and cackling and chattering. Another type of poem is comparison. This poem is by Kelly Wilson. A pumpkin's like a full moon, sitting round and low. In the starry evening, the pumpkin seems to glow. This is a comparison poem because it compares a pumpkin to a full moon. The last type of poem we are going to discuss today is the wordplay poem. This poem is by Ken Nesbitt. On the 33rd of January, right before October, a strange thing didn't happen that I always won't remember. At 11 in the afternoon, while making midnight brunch, I poured a glass of sandwiches and baked a plate of punch. Then I climbed up on my head to see the silver sky of green and danced around my feet because I'd turned 11. A parade began to end and music started not to play as rain came out and snowed all night that warm and sunny day. That was how it didn't happen, as I keenly don't remember, on the 33rd of January, right before October. This is a wordplay humorous poem because the words don't necessarily make sense in the sentences and the lines, like 11 in the afternoon and making a midnight brunch. A lot of the words are very contradicting. These are the sources used in the PowerPoint, and Profcast was used for the recording. Thank you for listening.